Isis were on the Surrey side, so that makes Goldie nearer us as the two crews got away. An interesting start and an interesting development down Fulham Reach. Jonny Searle.
That's right. Goldie got off to not quite such a good start as Isis. Isis got up maybe half a length early on to Isis as they came down past the boats.
Chris Baillieu.
I think this was a quite big surprise as they clashed right off the start. There have been good warnings given to both crews about the importance of keeping apart, yet we had a clash within the first half minute. But Goldie seemed to come out of it rather more positively, and as they approached the black buoy, they began to start to pull away.
It seemed like Oxford or Isis never really settled down into a kind of cruise pace. Usually the crews settle down after about 20 strokes at a pace they think they can sustain for the next few minutes. And the Isis crew seemed to just stay rating very high.
Isis, the winners last year after 8 successive successes by Goldie.
I think that was a big surprise last year. I think there was thought afterwards that there had been quite an element of complacency perhaps in the Goldie crew, but this by comparison is a very inexperienced Goldie crew against a very experienced Isis crew, which contains 2 blues from last year and 4 Isis colours. So this young Goldie crew have really taken this net race by the scruff of the neck in the early stages.
Only one survivor in the Goldie boat from last year, and he's stroking, Richard Stokes. But Cambridge with the advantage now of the Middlesex bend, and they were taking good advantage of it, Jonny.
That's right. I mean, this first bend is worth about a third of a length to them, and as they came towards the bend, they were probably 3/4 of a length up already. So, if they could continue and take that extra half a length or so round the first bend, they were obviously would be hoping to get over and take Isis's water.
Going there past Beverley Brook, the Fulham Football Club is now roughly where you're sitting in your living room at home, coming up on the near side as we look, with the Goldie crew on the Middlesex bend.
And certainly Goldie got the dream start that you need on Middlesex. As Jonny was saying, it's worth about a third, perhaps a little bit more, half a length perhaps, depending on how it's steered. But the critical thing for the boat race is to try and get the clear water, because that allows you to steal the opposition's water, to take the inside of each bend. And at this point, that's exactly where Goldie had positioned themselves. They were approaching a length ahead.
Thanks, as Chris says, the reason the coxes fight is the stream is fastest right in the middle of the river. Both coxes want to push the other cox out of the fast water. They also want to push the other crew wide around the bends.
Let's look at the map of the course with Goldie in a very good position, but of course the advantage will later, as they come up to Hammersmith, switched in favour of the crew on the Surrey station, which was Isis, and they're now round that bend into Corny Reach. Cambridge still with the advantage, but it looks a very good race again between these two crews.
It does. It looks like Oxford or Isis have managed to hang on around their bend. What you'd expect to see with Cambridge's early advantage, that Cambridge would have moved over right in front of Isis. They don't seem to have been able to do that.
I think Isis obviously would have fought very hard round Hammersmith, because that's where they get their most significant advantage. The bend underneath Hammersmith Bridge is worth half to 2/3 of a length, and Goldie have got to hang on round the outside, and they're rowing stroke for stroke, or have been rowing stroke for stroke, as they come towards the end of this Surrey bend. Now, what Goldie are looking for is the next bend, which will turn to their advantage.
Let me just make it clear that as you look at the two crews now, it's the Goldie crew on the left of the picture and the Isis crew on the right. Good battle down Corny Reach. 35th contest between Isis and Goldie.
And now you see, it looks like Goldie have got a significant, just over a length's advantage, and they're trying to cut across right in front of Isis. If they push the puddles underneath the Isis boat, that makes it very difficult to row. The boat bounces around. If the boat's less stable, it's harder to get the oars into the water.
Gideon Glassman is the cox from St Paul's and Trinity Hall. St Paul's, they went past his school, so he has good knowledge of this river.
And it looks to be that Goldie are beginning to open up that gap now. It's increased to perhaps 2/3 of a length of clear water. They're now in a very strong position as they come onto their bend, which is going to give them a half to 3/4 length lead as they come towards Barnes Bridge. But Isis are still in there, but it's a long way around the outside of a bend when they'll have fought very hard in the middle part of the course.
3 freshmen and 3 in their second year in the Goldie boat. And Brad Crombie, the Cambridge president, was saying that they've found a deal of talent which they hadn't realised at the start of the rowing year was there. And that seems to be being borne out by the performance here of Goldie.
Well, there are certainly 2 boys in this crew, Charlie Vickers and Richard Gaughan, who've basically learned to row at Cambridge. And Cambridge have used this year to rebuild. They've actually got 8 people here who should all be eligible and around to row next year, which is not the same, I think, as Isis, where there are a lot of rather older people who probably are coming towards their end of their careers as undergraduates.
I think that's right. I think the Isis boat, as we said earlier, has got 2 guys who were in the blue boat who, you know, said it's good of them to carry on rowing. A lot of times people drop out if they don't make the first boat. I don't imagine this was how they were hoping to finish their rowing careers at Oxford.
Yes, you've got to feel a bit sorry for James Roycroft and Nick Robinson. 2 were in the blue boat last year. But again, we're seeing the style of the Cambridge University Boat Club. Roland Cantwell, the bowman. In front of him, the Canadian, Sean Cashin. Then Colin Swainson. Christopher Hobcroft at 4. 5 is Charles Vickers. Richard Gaughan, hoping a lot from him. He's one of those who started his rowing at college. Dan Tweedie in the 7th seat. And Richard Stokes doing a BA in mathematics. He's getting all the sums right here.
And I think actually Isis have closed up quite a lot. There was a time when there was a significant amount of clear water between the crews, and they're making a real effort to get back onto an overlap. They look as if they may have got it.
It's a big task ahead of them to row around the outside of this last bend. There's about 4 minutes to go now, and this bend is probably worth an extra 2/3 of a length to Goldie. If Isis can come back now, that'll be quite an achievement.
Brave attempt. It's only been done a couple of times, and the crew that's behind it, Barnes Bridge, traditionally, Chris, does not make it.
No, it hasn't happened in recent years. I think the nearest probably was in 1980 when actually someone in the Oxford crew suffered a collapse, and Cambridge very nearly got back then, but they seem to have responded and pulled away a bit. It may just have been the camera angle which made it difficult for us to read.
So away we go. We're now looking from behind as they go through Barnes Bridge. And this is the sharpest bend on the course. They went through the centre arch, which is more than one of the contestants yesterday in the sculling competition did. But he finished in 2nd place. It would have been embarrassing had he won.
I think he'd been disqualified, I think. Yeah, I think if we can speculate a little bit here, one of the most interesting things, of course, here is now the relationship this may bring to the next race. Everyone had speculated on how close Goldie might have been to the blue boat, but actually this has shown that the Cambridge blue boat may be rather quicker than people anticipated. This long, rather easy rhythm can be very deceptive, and Goldie have really taken this race by the scruff of the neck.
That's right. I was talking to Ian Dryden, who coaches them, just yesterday, and he said he felt they had the Goldie spirit again. I'm not entirely sure what that involves, but I think it meant that he thought they had a good chance of winning.
Well, there was talk about Oxford being lifted, as they were, by the success of Isis last year, but it was also a basis of motivation for Goldie. There were several people in the boat club absolutely determined that they would put that right.
I think certainly this Goldie crew, and it's been the tradition at Cambridge to have a very established and rather independent atmosphere in the Goldie crew. They like them to be independent, but I think there's some very tired people in this Goldie crew now. Isis are currently rating at 2 pips above Goldie. They're at 38, Goldie's 36, and this is not perhaps completely over. Just Stokes there, who's really fought an incredibly hard race, and look, there they are. They're still hanging on to their tail. There's pride at stake here for a couple of former Oxford Blues.
Isis definitely lifting it here. They're trying to get past, desperately trying to get past. They've probably only got a couple of minutes to go though.
So I think it's less than that. And Cambridge has still got that. In an 8, a length is a great deal to get back, and actually they've got nearly a length and a half here. It just requires an enormous extra acceleration to get past. To run past a crew, you really need much more momentum than this Isis crew have got.
But all credit to Isis for making such a battle of it at the finish. Nick Robinson in the stroke seat, James Roycroft, the Blues, in the 4 seat.
I think the one thing they might be disappointed about is that they didn't rode quite this aggressively early on in the race when you know, they came up the boats. They were a length behind within 2 minutes, and they've unfortunately only lost another half length in the last 14 minutes. If they, you know, perhaps they underestimated Goldie a little bit.
It's just not possible to be that far down. A length down at the milepost and more than half a length down at Hammersmith, you're in, and I think, real difficulty.
It's going to be another Goldie success as they come up to the finishing post and take what is their 23rd victory, as opposed to 12 by Isis, who had closed again at the finish. But Goldie, so disappointed 12 months ago, and with such, on paper, an inexperienced crew against a very experienced crew, are showing their delight, and one can understand that.
I could just say that's a startling result, and I really don't think there was overwhelming confidence in this result, but I think they thought that they had it within them, and they certainly have shown it. And I think if the message gets back to the start at Cambridge, that will do a great deal for the hearts and minds prior to the start of the big one.
I'm sure it will get back, and Ian Dryden and Donald Leggett have done an excellent job here.